Okay, I'm making this video. I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that have been asked about my experiment. And the reason why I haven't really posted any schematics is because I keep changing them around. And here's the main thing. I'm trying to learn how to use our technology and electronics to try to basically make this kind of power, scalar power, usable. It's a lot of power, but it's a radical power without any kind of being able to modify it or anything else. And here's the thing with the circuits. As you can see here, my circuit. Here, let me go over the circuit real quick. I think I'll get to that first, okay? This right here is just a piece of a wind chime made out of metal with a coil. And I would say it's got about maybe 10 turns on it or so. It goes into this rectifier here, okay, and on both sides in between, and that's a 2 kilovolt capacitor, ceramic capacitor, one of the newer types. That there is like a 1 kilovolt or 2 kilovolt big capacitor that usually used like on a Tesla coil. And now these two capacitors here have two totally different functions. This capacitor here will actually charge in a DC way, and this capacitor here, what it does is it helps regulate the alternating current that's coming in from. Actually, the current is not alternating, it's almost like a scalar type of current, and I'm going to prove that in a second. But first I want to go over the circuit. Here is a right in parallel with that is a and if I'm using a phone, folks, so I can't really focus very well on this. We'll turn on this light. Okay, and as you see here, that's a 22 UF 50 volt capacitor, but it's a I can't think of it now. You know what it is. You can see the capacitor. When I'm trying to make these videos, it's very hard to do this, especially when I have to hold the camera because I don't have anybody to do it for me. So if you come over here, you're going to see that I have two supercapacitor. Those are 1.7 volt, and I'm trying to remember how many farads, but they're the little ones. And that's another 50 volt electrolytic capacitors. That's what these are. And in between that capacitor there, these are in parallel, the two supercapacitors. And then that one there is between a 9 volt Zener diode, 5 watt. This is a these resistors here, the one resistor there coming from here, I think it was like the highest little resistor that I had, and that's basically to control the flow coming from the capacitor. The other resistor you see there, and I'll go into more detail, folks, but I'll show you why I'm not being real detailed about the electronics, is because I'm still experimenting with it, and I keep changing the circuit around. So this is not even the same circuit you saw the first time, the second time, or the third time, because I'm trying to get the best way to use this power. Now what I've done here is right now is I am working on I'm learning how to use with this system is I'm trying to apply a transistor, and it seems to be working pretty nicely. Okay, it's a 2N3055 that I'm messing with here, And I gotta move this because I haven't even soldered or put these together. I just basically what I'm doing here is I'm just testing things as I go. Now you would think that this stuff would burn out my electronics. It's not, but I'll show you something that's going to be really interesting in a second. And that there is a capacitor bank, a 12-volt capacitor bank for of supercapacitors. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just basically trying to see how fast it'll charge. I just messed up the circuit here. That's why I'm only using one hand. Hold on a second. I was trying to show something here. And see, that's the problem with having to hold a camera in my one hand and trying to explain an experiment in the other. It just doesn't seem to work very well. Alright, well, somehow this whole thing just went amok. So that's not going to work. But I wanted to show something really interesting on this side. And if I can put this back together, because it's just hanging there. I mean, it's just hanging there. Alright, well, long story short, here's the problem. No matter what you do with a scalar wave, and if you've heard that scalar waves can go through a Faraday cage, that's very true. You would say, okay, I put my diode there, it's going to light up, okay? But you would think so because it's coming into that area where it would be like alternating current. But let's put it on the on the negative end of this, and you'll see that it still lights, okay? And now we're going to do it on the positive end. It lights. Do it on the anywhere on that circuit. If this circuit is touching anything that's touching the metal, it bypasses the electronics, folks. It's all over the place. It does use the power, okay? But it bounces around the board like it's not even there, pretty much, okay? But yet the board does use the power, okay? And I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about that right now, because actually that is the secret to what Nikola Tesla was doing. It is the secret of Nikola Tesla's invention of wireless energy. I mean, it is the basic concept of being able to use the Earth's power to basically have a new form of electricity that's not the regular alternating current. So, trying to get into this explanation, let me show you one more time that scalar wave. Okay, now if you notice, the scalar wave is what we call a compression wave, and it pushes back and forth as a compression wave. Okay, I'm going to break it down here a little bit, bring it down so you can see the wave. And that's what it's doing. It's going back and forth, just like a pump, okay? Now, here's what it does, okay? Basically, what that does is, what that causes is, it causes it to draw the negative ions from the ground, okay? And draw them in like, have you ever seen how one of those old water pumps, when you pump it, you know, you prime it and you pump it, and and then the water starts flowing freely? Where basically this is what this does. It constantly pumps the electrons through the system, okay? And it'll go through a Faraday cage, folks. It will. The other thing that I have to explain about this is over here at the plasma ball. And by the way, folks, I've been messing around with this plasma ball, putting things on that globe for over 3 years now. maybe even longer than that. And I have never had a glass crack on it. But if it did, I think I wouldn't care much. I just would realize that maybe, okay, fine, I can't do that. But I wouldn't care much because these little plasma balls, let me show you one of these little plasma balls. Okay, these little plasma balls are USB plasma balls. Okay, they're only using 5 volts, 300 milliamps. Okay, you can get them for about $10. Okay, they ship them from China. You can buy them here maybe about $12, $13 with the markup. So it's not like it's breaking the bank, folks. And most of this stuff you could probably gather up from old trashed electronics and parts and everything else. That there's just a big heat sink. These are just experimental things that things that I'm tossing around. And if I burned them out, well, it wouldn't matter. But I haven't burned anything out. Those every single piece of electronic in there is still working. Uh, and I think I lost my train of thought here. I'm trying to explain this. But okay, another thing about the plasma ball. Now here is the actual secret of another secret of Nikola Tesla, or another thing that's untold about Nikola Tesla and his discovery of this newfound energy. What he did was he invented a generator or an oscillator that required no magnetic fields turning around. He invented alternating current. He was the inventor or discoverer of using alternating currents in motors and generators. 1-phase, 2-phase, 3-phase. Okay? Now, what happens is when all your phases are going back and forth in their timing, okay, it creates a scalar wave. And right there's about 3 phases going back and forth. And that's being caused by the plasma in that little plasma ball, okay, creating the vibrations on the glass of the plasma ball. And what this does is it creates a pump for electricity. And that's what this really is, okay? And that's what he was experimenting with it for, and it's become a novelty. Everybody's really doesn't realize what a plasma ball is. My hunch on the plasma ball having some kind of importance greater than just being a novelty was that there was a saying, something that they asked Nikola Tesla. They asked, is it more powerful than Crookes' generator? And he says, oh yes, many times more possible. Now, I don't know if he was talking about the plasma ball, but the darnest thing is that the thing that most resembles a Crookes generator, and it's between a Crookes generator and a Tesla coil, is a plasma ball. So I was messing around with the radiant energy experiment, his patent of putting up an antenna plate and getting the differential of the air and the ground and doing that. And yeah, I was getting some high voltages, but very little current. Basically, I couldn't find a way to make it usable. And in his patent there was an oscillator, or that you could use probably different types of oscillators, but there was an oscillator. So I got the idea of taking the plasma ball and making an oscillator out of it. And that's what I did. I put a coil around it. And by the way, folks, what you're looking at there is a 14 gauge wire wrapped around the mechanism, the thing that holds up a garbage disposal. We had an old garbage disposal, and I was looking for something that would fit around the ball, so I could put a wire around it and create a coil that went around the ball, and that seemed to just fit. So that's what that is, okay, folks. And the magnets, well, they're there to hold things together, and like, for example, the cord there that I'm holding onto it. And there's a secondary reason for it. If I ever get a high charge of electricity on those, what's going to happen is those magnets are going to start ringing, and because they're going to start to vibrate, and it's going to be telling me, don't touch me. And I learned that because I was using earlier on in my experiments, when I was messing around with a Van de Graaff generator, I had this long story short, I had this Leyden jar that I had made, and I had put a bolt in through the middle, and it had a screw that came in through the middle of it, and which was my positive end, whatever. And when that thing charged, I mean, well, let's put it this way: I used a meter for a one of those high voltage fences because I couldn't use my meter on that. It would have blown it. It would have blown a hole in it. So I tested it with one of those, and it hit it, and the maximum on it was 11 kilovolts. Well, it hit 11 kilovolts for about a nanosecond, and then it just went. It was gone. And I definitely did not want to touch something like that. So that's when I ended up putting I wanted to see what happened. I put a magnet on the top of it and then charged it, and sure enough, it started ringing like a buzzer. Every time that thing would charge, and if you had it like across the room and you turn on the Van de Graaff generator, and for some reason that sucker charged, it was gonna start ringing and tell me don't touch me. So that was I figured that was a good idea for safety, anyways. So even though you usually want to have those grounded, but just in case. So as you see, that this is the problem, okay, folks. If I give you a schematic, you could play with this stuff. I mean, you can grab some electronics and put it together and see what it does and see how it changes the power. I mean, this is all running through electronic circuits, and I'm actually making the power usable. I'm getting this radical power, and I'm trying to make it usable. That's basically the bottom line. There's a lot of power here, a lot of power. Okay, as you can see, there's 10 kilovolts for division on that thing. Okay, if I actually didn't have this circuit here, I wouldn't be able to hold the power that little plasma ball at 5 volts and 300 milliamps. A USB plasma ball that hooks up to your laptop, folks. Well, it would actually be off the scale on this and probably burn my meter. By the way, folks, I do not recommend anybody coming near putting anything and connecting it directly to the plasma ball without a circuit or something to regulate it, because it will fry it. It will fry it. I have fried plenty of stuff with it. The thing that it does the most havoc on is the LCD screens on the meters and stuff like that. It really likes to eat those up. So, well, that's, I think, all I can tell you right now. If you have any more questions, please write your comments, and I'll try to better things now. By the way, folks, I just retired. So I'm going to have more time to better the way I take my videos, and I'm going to have somebody record. If I'm getting a tripod, actually, so I can put this camera on there and at least be able to record and be able to do all the stuff, move all the stuff around without having to like hold one hand and try to take the video all at the same time, which is very unprofessional, folks. And I do appreciate you guys watching. I hope that I am doing something better for all of you, for all you guys out there that you do all those things with circuits and jewel thieves and stuff like that. That's one of the things that's one of the reasons I'm really messing with that 2N3055, because I wonder if I can actually create a jewel thief that will work with this type of system. That would be amazing. My next step would be maybe to connect another plasma ball to it and duplicate the energy. The system's already been self-running. I've proved that with the antenna outside in a former video. I mean, I can make this stuff work off itself pretty much and still charge. As a matter of fact, as I'm running the light there, and if I hook this up here, and I can't show you, okay, this thing is not going to work for me. I'll have to make another video to actually show this, and this is what's made it so hard, guys. I apologize for not being able to be very specific. I will be drawing up some schematics, and some of you have sent me emails or given me your emails, and I'll try to post it and even send them to you. I mean, I'm gonna try my best to get this out to you guys because it's so easy to do. I know that all you can do it. I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to do what I'm doing here. I've just basically rediscovered something that Nikola Tesla, who was a real genius, actually discovered, and I think the the credit needs to go to him. I mean, I'm very happy that I'm starting to figure out what Nikola Tesla did, and I really want to give it to everybody. I want you all to have it because he said the future is yours, and that's what he wanted. So I'm going to follow his wishes. I'm going to rediscover this technology. I'm going to make it work. It's almost our revenge for going to school and never hearing about Nikola Tesla, folks. I went through school. I learned about Faraday. I learned about all of these guys. Edison. Everybody was mentioned except for Tesla. When I got some kind of an idea about radiant energy in my head, and I started researching, Nikola Tesla kept coming back up on the internet. And if it wouldn't have been for the internet, man, I would not know about Nikola Tesla. So. I mean, I had heard some guy named Nikola Tesla, but it almost seemed like he was some crazy guy or something, or that's what they portrayed him as. But then again, hey, I'm Ralph the Mad Scientist, so, I mean, I gotta own it. All right, folks. Thank you for looking at the video. I hope this was helpful in some way to explain what I'm doing. The thing with the antenna, the reason why it worked, is exactly because of that plasma ball. That is the reason why the antenna worked. The experiment that I did outside, that's why it worked. This thing is actually a pump between the earth and the ground. And that's what it is. It's just the scalar waves that create that effect. And there's your at scalar level. Okay, folks, that's it for the video now. See you later.